Yo, what's good? Sorry for the place that I'm filming at is my bedroom for the moment because I'm away, and I didn't want to get disrupted by my siblings, so is what it is. Anyway, I wanted to well obviously you know what this video is about and yeah, how I changed my mindset. And a lot of people associate mindset with like the obvious stuff, so doing uncomfortable things and doing training or going to the gym consistently, that type of stuff. But what I'm talking about with mindset is like the less obvious stuff and the things that people do not attempt to try and change, because it is quite difficult. And I can personally say myself, it is very difficult, but ultimately it does make a huge difference, and it ultimately shapes who how you will be as a person as well. And that part of the mindset I'm talking about is like the ego part, the judging people part, and like grasping opportunities as well and not wasting them. And I'll kind of start off about talking about when I was younger and how I had quite a bad mindset when it came to that. But I will say I did have a good mindset when it came to being consistent with my training and, you know, training hard and all of that type of stuff. But when it came to the other part, I was lacking quite hard. And I'd say that's partly because I wasn't in many social situations like parties and all of that kind of stuff, because I'll be training all the time, so I didn't really have time for that. So, yeah, ultimately, that ended up causing me to develop all these things. So, I'll talk about first of all I'll say the ego part. So, obviously, I wasn't super vocal with my ego, but I still had an ego in my head, a very negative one, because like an ego is good to have because it's ultimately confidence, but there like comes a point where it kind of just becomes too much, and then you kind of just end up really delusional. And I'd say I got quite delusional after a while. I kind of just thought I was better than everybody in a bad way, because I was like kind of making myself seem like I was just like the most important person because I trained the most out of everybody, not realizing that that's not the most important thing in life. And yeah, I just kind of thought I was the best and all of that type of stuff. And that ultimately kind of caused me to go down this like downward spiral, because I kind of was just getting humbled all the time after realizing that it's just not how everything goes. And I'll talk about how I like changed this, but I'll just talk about like when I was younger. So I would also I would also judge a lot of people as well, because obviously I was quite fit and all of that. So I would, if I saw someone who might be quite skinny or something, I'll just like immediately judge him, think that I'm better than them, and kind of make fun of them in my head. And yeah, looking back at it, it was not the nicest thing. I wasn't vocal about it. I wouldn't be pointing fingers at I'd be pointing fingers at people in my head, but vocally I wasn't like screaming it or shouting it out loud like an idiot. But uh, I was still making judgments in my head, not realizing that that person may have had like some sort of disorder or might have had some issues in their life that I never even had, which would make me the luckier one. So that was also issue in my mindset, and the other one was opportunities. And obviously, at that time, and still to this day, I am quite privileged, and I come from quite a well-off family. And I'm not trying to say this as a flex, I'm just trying to kind of acknowledge it so people know. because I want to be authentic and not just kind of hold it in, and then people find out about this and start questioning all the things I've been saying. And at the age of like from 13 to 15, I definitely did not use my opportunities, and the opportunities that I was given, I kind of just threw into the trash instead of like kind of using them to my advantage. So obviously I went to, and I still do, go to a very good school, and instead of like really trying at school, I mean, I just could have taken it a bit more seriously. And yeah, after, because I have mates that go to less privileged schools, and after hearing like everything about their school, I realized that the opportunity and the advantage I have is quite significant, and yeah, I just kind of wasted it. Now, why I'm making this video is because there is a lot of young people that kind of just do the same thing, and honestly, if you can like nail down these things, like this part of your mindset, it's ultimately going to serve you so well in the future, and it will make you a better person. And yeah, ultimately it will just make you a better person, and you'll skyrocket with your progress and stuff. And yeah, ultimately it's just about building that foundation, and if you build that foundation earlier, you just have a whole bigger window of opportunity. And also when you're younger, you kind of have nothing to lose, because most of the people viewing this video, everybody viewing this video, has a roof under their head, has food, and all of these different amenities provided by their parents. So taking a risk when it comes to, I don't know, maybe starting some online business or something, that using like free apps and stuff. So like that's not really, doesn't really matter with the risk, because even if it fails, it's not like you end up homeless or whatever. It just doesn't succeed. And I'll start off with the first part. I'll talk about the ego part. So how I changed that. So obviously I realized this, and my training also kind of changed because I transitioned into sports and I got into boxing. And that going into a different sport as well probably changed my ego a bit as well, because I was going into a combat sport. So obviously, you know that learning techniques like with martial arts, you like know how to hurt people. I'm not like saying I'm some amazing fighter, but it does put you at an advantage compared to a regular person. But like that part's a bit irrelevant. I'm just like giving in context, and I'd say I changed the whole ego part, because I realized that like all of this hype up and all of this like kind of delusion didn't get me anywhere. It just kind of kept me in the same spot, because I wasn't progressing, and I was kind of just like thought that being in the position I was good enough. And I ultimately realized this after seeing other people start to have more progress than me, and I kind of just was ending up below them. So I realized that this whole ego thing wasn't really working, and plus I was kind of getting humbled more regularly. So that's when I kind of switched this whole ego part off, and kind of just try to improve and improve, and ultimately I'm here where I am now. Yeah, so the other part is the judging people part, and yeah, this one was quite I wouldn't say brutal, but it definitely was hard to confront. And I always would say to myself, oh, I'm a good person and stuff, but in the back of my mind, I would always have this voice in my head kind of telling me, oh, you judged and kind of made fun in your head about a person that may have had, like, say, a disability. And there's many people around me that also do this. And yeah, and anytime I'd kind of judge someone also, whether they were, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Whenever I kind of judge someone, like, it'd make me feel good for maybe a little bit because I felt better about myself. I felt like I was better than that person. But then I'd feel probably worse than I did afterwards because I realized that I wouldn't actually do this, but my little fragile ego caused me to do this, and now I just feel bad because that person may be suffering with something. And yeah, I realized this, and I like, obviously it took time, and I progressively started to just think a lot more positively about people, and not just immediately like going to conclusions. So if I like saw someone with a lot of tattoos, a lot of people would immediately judge that person and say, "Oh, he's a criminal" or whatever. But I kind of changed that whole mindset and kind of just thought that was like a normal person, and they just enjoy having tattoos. Or if you see like a homeless person, a lot of people might immediately jump to conclusions, say, "Oh, he's a drug addict" or whatever. But one time I gave a homeless person some food, and I had a chat, and that person ultimately was completely different to what I expected. And yeah, I just realized that a lot of people just like jump to conclusions. So I just started changing it little by little every day, and I'd say that I've definitely improved significantly. And I do have um, parts of me that still kind of do judge because like everybody does, but I'd say I definitely have changed a lot since my earlier days of when I just kind of immediately jumped to conclusions. And the final part is like the opportunity part, and yeah, I kind of just realized that because I was a high achiever and I wanted progress or whatever, but I realized that the progress I was making was quite minimal, and I kind of assessed my situation because obviously getting to like getting to like 16, 17, 18, you have to kind of start thinking of university, potential careers and all of that kind of stuff. And it kind of hit me like a flashbang, and I realized that, oh, I actually go to a really good school, and why am I not trying as hard as I could be? Because ultimately I'm being given an advantage with my education. I could get an upper hand compared to many other people. So I realized this, and also I'm just in just a nice area. I have a lot of things. I have a good school. I have a library. I have all these things that I can use to gain knowledge. I can build my my physical stature. I don't know. And yeah, I kind of just opened my mind to a lot more things that I was given. And yeah, I just tried out more things. A lot of people just don't really try things. They just like kind of just stick to one thing their whole life, and just yeah, they kind of just end up not really satisfied. And a lot of people think that they don't have opportunities, but it's just not as obvious as people think it is. Like, a lot of people think that they don't have opportunities, and then they have a library in their area. Like, a library is a very powerful place. You can get books and educate yourself in ways that you don't get educated at school. Read powerful books and things like that. Like, these, you just have to really, really like think about it and ponder about it, rather than just think about the really obvious parts. Because yeah, if success was so obvious, everybody would be successful. So you kind of got to really put a lot of focus and a lot of effort into that. Otherwise, you're just not really going to get anywhere. And I had this mindset as well when I was younger, and thought it was just going to be quite easy. And then I, again, just got hit with like this shock, this flashbang of a moment. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that.